I thought we were live the entire time.
Every song is a fucking journey.
This is the worst tour I've ever done.
Anthony Crawford says Gene Simmons is crazy.
Black Album was one of the greatest fucking records of all time.
Dude, that dude is crazy. Rock and roll ain't dead.
Metal was banned.
What was the reason why White was banned?
Politics and religion.
Next record's 3-chord rock. Yeah, we're gonna do an AC/DC record.
When we do the next record, Jake, we need to interview the producer and just make sure that they're not gonna invade the Capitol.
I'm gonna keep my opinions to myself. Thank you so much! This is why I get banned from tours.
Nobody does anything to get anyone in trouble. What? No alcohol is consumed on the bus.
Just yoga and prayers.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome, everyone.
Is that the first time you've seen that video?
For me?
For you, Anthony, yeah.
I've seen it.
You've seen it. I wonder if you remember
part of
that night in Germany.
Yeah.
He hangs his head in shame every week. Henrik, welcome.
Yeah.
Cheers, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
So, and
For
for everybody now, it's 2 a.m. in the morning here in Germany. So it's a little bit late, yeah.
Where in Germany are you?
I'm from Bavaria. It's more in the southern part of Germany. So exactly from Nuremberg. It's near Munich. So a little bit far away from Berlin. I think Berlin is more knowable.
Yeah, I think Jake loves that part of Germany. He always talks about Nuremberg.
Yeah, I stayed in Nuremberg for a while during Ice Earth and Demons and Wizards stuff. We were doing there was a studio out in Nuremberg, so we were staying there for a while. And Witherfall played there. We played there on that Sonata Arctica tour. Yeah, we played there. And then, are you going to be coming to our show that we're doing at that festival? I think it's somewhere around. It's in Bavaria, but I'm not exactly quite sure where exactly that festival's at. Maybe Joseph can pull that up for us.
Yeah, when your tour with Evergrey was planned, you were planned to play in Nuremberg, I guess.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. We got you on. We got Anthony Crawford, who's been shooting dog pornos all day.
What?
I sent Jake this video, man. I'll send it to you, Joseph.
Wait, is that true?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Jesus. Yeah, he's got a OnlyFans account for his dog, which is named King Louie.
For anyone out there that doesn't know, Henrik is a phenomenal guitar player. He's worked with some pretty impressive people, including myself and Jeff Loomis and Chris Broderick. And who's the other singer that you just recently did something with?
Yep. I just released a single with Bjorn Stritt from Soilwork. Mm-hmm. And it's called The Darkest Sky. And yeah. I think that was actually the first song I wrote for my current solo project. That was around 2020 in December, and that was the song when I realized, okay, I should do more stuff on my own. And I first, for a long time, I didn't know who I could sing on that song, and then I realized after the first mixes, okay, it goes more in the Soilwork direction, so why shouldn't I ask Björn? And he did it. I think he took 3 days for recording, and then the song was done. So yeah, and I think it's probably my hardest song I've done yet. So
yeah.
Right on, man.
What's the scene like?
Come here to LA, Henrik.
Yeah.
You ever come to California and perform? Or no?
Yeah, I would like to. I would like to. It's definitely planned. I will be in Thailand in February for a few weeks, but
Are you doing shows?
especially the US is planned, definitely. Yeah.
Are you doing gigs in Thailand?
I'm sorry.
Are you doing like shows, like gigs out in Thailand?
No, just for holidays and for getting out of Germany.
Well, for anybody else out there that doesn't know, Henrik also has done a bunch of Witherfall covers. Probably done the most Witherfall covers out of anybody. So you get to enjoy the insanity as much as Anthony does with learn my bullshit parts.
Yeah, for me it was a huge influence. I'm back in 2017. I started playing 7-string guitars because of Nevermore and Witherfall. I got to know them at the same time, and so yeah, especially for my guitar playing, your guitar playing was a huge influence. More that progressive and more technical style, for example. Yeah.
Thanks, Matt. Well, give it all to Jeff, because that's where it comes down to. He gets the main credit. But no, I really do appreciate that, though, Henrik, and I appreciate all the covers. And we have Anthony on here too, man. So he's doing all the bass stuff. Have you ever tried learning any of the bass parts? Do you play bass on your own recordings?
Yeah.
You do?
I do have a 4-string bass and a 5-string bass. So, but I think your songs are in 6-string bass.
Yeah, you can play it on 5-string. 6-string, just so I can hit the high notes with Jake. You know? yeah, that's the only reason.
Doing the solo bass.
Yeah, like if I just wanted to play just normal bass, I can literally do this gig with a 4-string bass. You know, but I mean, I could probably still do it with a 4-string bass, but I just like the high register of like doubling guitar parts with the the extra high string. You know.
Yeah.
I was just listening to so not to plug another channel, but I will. But Rick Beato just released a Paul Gilbert interview with where he talks about Billy Sheehan, and I know that Anthony are huge fans, and Joseph as well, of Mr. Big and Race and all that kind of stuff. And those guys were always doing, especially Paul and Billy during the Mr. Big stuff, of doubling each other.
Yeah.
Guitar and bass together, you know?
Yeah, and Billy plays all this stuff on 4-string. I mean, that's what I'm saying. So I know it can be done. But the only thing is, me and Billy tune differently. I tune lower than Billy. You know, Billy tunes like standard tuning. I tune actually low, actually. So kind of limited still. But that's, 6-string easier for me, I guess, in that regards, so.
Well, actually, Anthony, could you explain your tuning? Because it's, I would like to hear it again because I'm always
by
it when we're in rehearsals.
Yeah, well, a long time ago when I was around like 15, 16, I used to play 2 whole steps down. So like my E string would be a low C. And then that was too low for me. So then I just started tuning a whole step down instead of 2 whole steps down. So now my E string is a D. So my whole entire bass register is literally tuned a whole step down. And I've been playing like that since I was like 16 years old,
So yeah, so it's pretty wild because like when we're rehearsing, it's like you probably learn the songs. It would be like if it was half step down or whatever it might be, half step down, everything.
Yeah, I learned the Witherfall music in 3 different keys because I remember when we recorded, I think the record before the last, and it was down a half step, and I didn't even know it because I just left my bass the same. And then so I learned all the music, and then I think Joseph was like, "Oh yeah, it's a whole step, it was a half step down," so I had to relearn it again, like another register down. So
well, the thing too is, and Henrik, I think you would be able to appreciate this as well. Is with guitar players, we just be like, okay, well, we're doing the songs down. We'll do it a half step, or we'll have another guitar that's for the set. And Anthony's just like, nah, I'm gonna transpose it to a new key. You know, basically, is what you did, right?
Yeah.
He has
yeah,
to do that anyway. He's weird.
Jazz background though, Anthony. Like the jazz background, because it would be like if you had vocalists that were like, oh, I can't sing that high. Let's just move the key down.
Oh yeah, dude. I literally just played at church today, man, and literally right during the count off, that was like, oh yeah, we're gonna take this down a whole step. So they're like, 1, 2, we're going down a whole step. 3, 4, we just have to just,
Wow.
And I didn't even know because I think they said it, but we didn't hear it. So I guess he repeated himself. But the only time I heard is when they was literally counting off the song.
Oh man, if you fuck up, man, there's some major seconds going on there, man.
Dude, if the singer had perfect pitch, then every fucking chord would be a fucking 7th chord because he's singing a whole step down.
Yeah,
wow, no kidding, man. Yeah,
but they made that decision last minute because of the singers, because they couldn't hit those high notes. So, and I guess
that's pussy shit, man. That's pussy. You don't do that.
Yeah, they're like, they couldn't hit the high notes.
Sing it.
And then count off, we're gonna take it down a whole step or whatever they said during the count off.
It's the worst thing ever is when you hear a band play something live and it's in a different key, like the fucking keys don't matter. It's the dumb shit. It's like, I heard like cover band playing "Don't Stop Believing" in like F sharp, like because the singer fucking couldn't sing it. And you're like, what the fuck, man? This doesn't sound good at all.
For example, believing in E though.
For example, Megadeth is, I think, tuning down from E to D.
Yes, yeah, they started doing
completely weird hearing Holy Wars or Hangar 18 in D.
Yeah, it's way more death
metal.
No, I remember when they first started doing that, they were doing E flat for a while, and then they're down to like a whole step right now. So hearing it sounds. I mean, like I guess when you get down to a certain register, it's pretty wild. I remember like trying to learn some death metal stuff and being like, how the hell are these guys doing it on these 6 strings? And I just realized that they're tuned to A flat. You know, the E string down, all the way down.
Yeah.
And
it just sounds lazy.
I don't know. Like I've always tuned down. It was just a natural thing for me to do, man. Like I don't know, and I didn't even know that it was a thing. I thought I was the only person doing it. I didn't know that it was a thing. You know what I'm saying? And then when I started meeting more people, the older I got, I started meeting people and hanging out with people, and I was like, oh wow, okay, there are a few other people that actually tune down. You know.
Yeah, how exactly did you start figuring out to tune down though? What was like the
I just wanted my bass to go lower, but I didn't want to play a 5-string. I wanted to stay on 4-string. I did not want to play a 5-string. I just wanted to be totally on 4-string. So like all through high school, like all I did was just play 4-string. I just tuned it down, you know.
Yeah. So Henrik, how did you start playing bass? Because I know you're doing bass for your own records and stuff. So,
what do you mean?
Did you like learn how to play bass, or did it just kind of come to you naturally as?
It was a more natural thing. It's for me like playing the guitar. Just the strings are a little bit more bigger. Yeah. Actually, I don't play with my fingers. I play with a plectrum too. So with a pick. So it's actually like the same.
Anthony, what do you feel about people playing with a pick?
I know you're playing without a pick. I know.
Oh, dude, like, hey, man, I don't have anything against it, man. It's just not for me. You know, if I wanted to get a certain sound, I'm not a pick player. Like, I'll try, but I'm not a pick player, man. Like, I think if someone is working with me and they want efficient bass playing, keep picks away from me.
Remember Schaefer wanted you to play with a pick?
Yeah, he was like very pro pick, and then I started playing with my fingers. He was like, "Oh, fuck that pick! Don't worry about it."
Yeah, we were doing the last scar, which Henrik has covered, and we were recording that song, and it was the first one. And then I remember John Schaefer was he wants everything done with a pick and very precise. And Anthony did it because Anthony is a professional musician. And then afterwards, John made you re-record it with your fingers because you said he was blown away by how precise you were. You know.
I don't know, man. It's like you don't have to play with a pick to play precisely. I just don't get that. Like, what is it about a pick that makes you a better player?
It's a tone.
If you're an iced earth player, you do.
Well, I think it's got to be tone because Al Di Meola, he makes all his bass players play with a pick.
Really?
Yeah.
Stan the Clock don't play with no pick?
No, that was well. Chick Corea was paying the writing checks for that.
You know what?
Al wasn't writing the checks for that band.
Oh yeah, that too. But really, I didn't know that he made his bass player play with a pick.
I heard that. I don't know if that's true, but if you
Anthony Jackson played with picks, but Anthony Jackson is he's a pioneer bass player. Like he invented that shit. You know, 16 bass with picks. Like, you know. But I don't know. It's preference, I guess. Preference.
Yeah.
Hey, Anthony.
I think there's definitely a tone with it. Like, okay, for Megadeth, for example, David Ellison, like that tone. That
he's using a pick, yeah.
Yeah.
Thin Lizzy, right? Thin Lizzy, pick, you know. It's part of the sound.
It is.
You know? Doug Pinnick, he plays with a pick. It's part of the sound. I get that.
Doug Pinnick, man, underrated as hell.
Yeah. He plays with a pick. You know, it's a sound, but I just don't think. Look, if you're going for a sound, pick. But I just don't think that. And the only way for you to be efficient, you have to play with a pick. I don't believe it.
Right.
I could never reach the speed. The speed would be the problem.
Yeah.
You said what?
The speed. I could never reach that speed in my right hand to.
Yeah.
To play that fast like
it's dark in here now, man. Let me cut on my light. It's like dark in here. Can y'all see me? I'm already black. Can y'all see me?
Yeah.
Okay, is it better?
Anthony. Yeah, that's much better. Thank you.
I look like a shadow talking.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Our friend David over in Utica says he was following you on social media before Witherfall. He's curious what your introduction. Yeah, Dante. What was your introduction into the metal scene?
The metal scene. I've been in the metal scene when I first picked up the bass. You know, I've been playing metal since I was 12 years old. You know, yeah, seriously, since I was 12. When I first picked up the bass, the first song I ever learned on bass was a metal song. You know,
which song?
From this band called Galactic Cowboys. They were like, I think they were signed. They were like with King's X back in the day. I guess they kind of came up together, but it was a band called Galactic Cowboys, and I was really into that band. And it was like a metal band from Texas. You know, yeah. So metal was the first music, the first genre I got into.
You were also really big into Queensryche too. I remember you telling me.
Yeah. I mean, the bands I grew up on, like Queensryche, Living Colour, King's X, Tool, like all those bands. I mean, when I first picked up the bass, that's all I was playing. You know, and eventually I got into jazz and R&B and all that stuff. And then that's what I kind of got known for, was the jazz world. But people didn't know that, you know, I played metal until I got with Witherfall. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Joseph didn't even know Joseph. Like, oh, he's a jazz musician. He don't know how to play rock and roll.
I hadn't heard you, and I didn't believe a word Patlin said. So
nobody did. Yeah, nobody did, because I wasn't doing any metal projects. You know, everything I was doing was jazz. you know.
We were just doing for the other songs that will be coming out in the near future. We were doing something in October, and we were like, dude, we've been playing together since 2013 for over 10 years now.
Yeah,
Jake.
You guys in 2013. I think I met you guys in what, 15?
Is that Tetra? Okay.
This is the studio like to-do list.
Yes, exactly. That's the next one coming. You'll hear right now, the next Witherfall record is going to have a song that's 20 minutes long, and Henrik's going to have to cover it.
I will do that.
Yeah. Get a lot of watch out.
Henrik, how did you get into music, man? What was your did you have a musical family? Did you listen to your parents had cool shit planned?
Yeah, I had two different styles. My father was more like a metalhead who introduced me into bands like AC/DC, Dream Theater, Metallica, stuff like that. And my mom was more like that, more indie alternative style, like Depeche Mode, more like Kraftwerk, some famous German band, and more like that goth style, like for example Sisters of Mercy or The Cure. So I had different influences
right there.
Yeah. Yeah. The funny thing was, when I started playing the guitar, I learned something like classical stuff like Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, and then it became more technical with Megadeth, Dream Theater. And one day my dad gave me CDs from a band called Nevermore, and that was the first time I got into more 7-string stuff. Like I remember my first Nevermore song was the Termination Proclamation from their Obsidian Conspiracy album, and I was like, whoa. That was something I never heard before, and it sounded so heavy. So I got more into Nevermore and more into that 7-string stuff. And at the same time, my dad came with a band called Witherfall. He read a review from Rock Hard. It's a magazine from Germany. And Nevermore was called as an influence of the band. So he thought, okay, I was a huge fanboy of Nevermore, so he thought this could be something for me. And the first Witherfall song I heard I listened to was What You're Dying For. And that was the song I actually came into Witherfall, and that was also the time you released Nocturnes and Requiems. Yeah.
So, how did you hear about that song? Was that one from the playthrough video, or
exactly? Exactly. And that was the song that was reviewed, and that was also the song you did the playthrough for. So that was the first song I listened, and the first song that got into my playlist. And so I listened really like from one song after to another, and it was like, whoa. It's not exactly like Nevermore, but it goes in the same direction. It's also that technically, and it's produced, and when it comes to the songwriting, it's exactly that what I wanted at that moment, and what kept my playing.
Yeah, well, that's very cool, man. And thanks to your dad for turning you on to it too. Shout out to your dad for that. That's awesome, man.
So
my dad always knew what was right, so what was great. Yeah. So
what was that, Anthony?
No, I said, so Henry, so your mom and your dad are like music, like they're like musicians, I guess, right? No.
There's a funny story. I don't know. My mom worked with Billy Idol and Steve Strange from Visage in the late 80s. So she got a more touch in that musical scene, but apart from that, it was more like, and they were just listening, going to concerts, and
that's good, man.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Having a great influence on me, I guess. So, yeah.
Well, what your parents were describing with the bands they liked and all that stuff those are awesome influences, man. Especially like your mom stuff too, with like the dark wave.
Yeah, exactly.
Really into that stuff lately.
I think it's also more important. I like to be more in different direction, not just to be focused on metal. So I like to have more influences from different directions. Also, when it comes to my songwriting, when it comes, for example, to Set the World Alight, Joseph sang on, there were more, the parts came from Chris Broderick, but there were more classical parts that came from classical music. And when you can combine such genres, I like that. I like not just to be focused on one thing, so it's more than to have different influences.
Which classical influences were you going off of? Who were you listening to?
At the moment?
No, I mean, I guess just in general for that song or classical.
Yeah, for example, Moonlight Sonata is from Beethoven, Third Movement. It's also a piece that got covered by many YouTube guitarists, I guess. That's one example. Or especially Beethoven, I guess. All of his compositions. That's more for the classical side. But yeah, but I also like
Germany.
What's that, Joseph?
He's probably very big in Germany.
Oh,
Beethoven? Yeah.
Mozart. Chopin, you guys probably, he's Polish.
Chopin? I thought he was French.
No, Chopin's Polish. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Crazy.
So, yeah. So, like, when what about any jazz stuff? Are you listening to Coltrane, any of those guys for different sorts of inspiration?
You mean more jazz or?
Yeah. I mean, like, well, the Coltrane type stuff is. I always listen to that because Anthony also played with Alan Holdsworth, and Holdsworth's biggest inspiration was Coltrane. That I think of. Besides that, and also Dave Musset and Ravel, I believe after reading all that stuff. I mean, Anthony could probably be like, no, this guy listened to In Sync or something like that.
So Holdsworth's biggest influence was the Backstreet Boys.
Yeah. I'm just talking shit. But from what I've read, he was listening to a lot of that stuff. So have you gotten into the jazz stuff at all with broadening your influences or anything like that?
Not that much jazz. More the blues direction, for example, Gary Moore.
Okay, yeah.
It was one of my first guitar experiences, and Out in the Fields was one of the first songs I ever performed live when I was a little kid. I think when I was
Phil Lynott, right?
I'm sorry?
That was with Phil Lynott as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But so Gary Moore for Joe Bonamassa, that were more the technical guys that when I started playing the guitar, that were more influences when it comes to blues, for example. But jazz, I don't really know. Yeah, don't really know if I ever played.
Anthony, what would you recommend Henrik jazz stuff? Because Anthony.
Well, it depends on the kind of jazz you're into. Like, jazz is such a broad term now. I mean, you got straight ahead, you got fusion, you got urban jazz, you got smooth jazz, easy listen. Like, I mean, I don't know. I would say, I mean, if you are a metal guy, probably like the Coltrane stuff, the Miles Davis, you know, when he was playing with like Paul Chambers and like back in the day, like the old school stuff where they were like no filters, they just didn't give a fuck. They just played. You know what I'm saying? Like that stuff was crazy.
It got dark too.
Yeah,
the Miles Davis stuff
I mean, it was like I saw some stuff, man, where they would literally be in the middle of an interview, and the interviewer would just ask them anything, like a question, and then they'll be like, "Oh yeah, just demonstrate it," and then just off, like literally just at the spur of the moment, they'll just go into some crazy shit, just off the top of their heads, man. Like the most profound shit that you can like think of, they would just do it on the spot. Like they were just always ready to go, always ready to play, man, and like full force in the middle of a conversation. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like that's like I was just talking last night to someone about Love Supreme, like the John Coltrane stuff, where it's they were trying to profess like what love is in sonic form.
Yeah.
Like when you listen to those records, it's like it's a whole other different way of listening, I think, you know?
Yeah, I mean, those, you know, I would say those times, man, it was like either you could play or you fucking go home.
That's so humbling about that shit too.
You said what?
So humbling about that shit. Like
it's like either you can play or you can't. Like there's no in between. There's no like there was no like no. It's like dude, either you can fucking play or you don't get on stage like at all. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. Exactly, man.
That's how it was.
We had a drummer do that.
You said
well, like
we had a drummer do that. He couldn't play and he just left and went home.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know, man. It was just something. It was something about like I would say, like if you want to get into jazz, man, I would say check out the Miles Davis Coltrane era, man. Back like in the 60s, man.
Well, if I could also interrupt too and say that for Henrik, I would also recommend like the Return to Forever stuff, though.
Yeah.
Because that's more like that's Al Di Meola. Then you got on the Frank Gambale. And then actually, oh man, in my guide, it's really, really badass. Sorry, I forget his name, but they had so many great guitar players though that also came from that. So Return to Forever, Chick Corea's Electric Band era too, you know?
Yeah.
Incredible, yeah. Anthony, you were gonna play with the guy too. Fuck man, he taught at MI for a while, and I mean he's amazing. He played with Tribal Tech.
Scott Henderson.
Scott Henderson, yeah. So you got
I was very close. Me and Scott worked on an album together, and never got released.
That's a shame, dude, because Scott Henderson's badass, man.
Yeah, so we was putting together a project together, like me, him, and like a drummer. You know what I'm saying? And we recorded the album and everything.
You also were working on a record with Sean Lane.
Yeah, that was back in the day, man. That was like I was at his house and we were talking about stuff, and he brought out a fretless guitar and started like playing it like crazy.
Henrik, do you know Sean Lane at all?
I heard the name, but
oh man,
You're young.
Hell, dude.
Come on.
Like respected Sean Lane a lot.
Yeah,
Holsworth respected Sean Lane.
Yeah, dude. They were like,
dude, yeah.
Sean Lane like looked up to Sean, like he respected him.
So when I was studying guitar, when I was a teenager, everybody was just like, all my guitar teachers were like Sean Lane and Holdsworth. Those are the fucking guys.
Yeah,
you gotta get into.
Yeah, Sean Lane.
My teacher never mentioned him.
Yeah.
Who'd your teachers mention? I'm curious about that. Like in Germany.
It was not that it was not like that they were focused on one guy. It was more like they were all more in that music theory direction.
Oh.
So I got pushed in this direction of you have to learn music theory. You have to know the scales. You have to know how to run on the fretboard, and it was more like that. And from that point, we got to learn songs. For example, I had one guitar teacher, or my second guitar teacher. I was there 1.5 years, and we played one song, and we learned one song, and it was "Pull Me Under" from Dream Theater. But except from that, we just did scales, music theory, and it was a little bit annoying, but yeah.
So by scales, you were doing Aeolian, Dorian, Phrygian.
Yeah, for example, he played me a rhythm. He played a rhythm guitar part, and I had, for example, a 5-minute or 10-minute loop just doing scales over that rhythm part he just played. Yeah, and it was like, I exercised from that, but it was, I always wanted to learn songs. I wanted to, But I think when I look at that, it was, it taught me a lot, I guess. For example, this understanding for the scales, for the notes, for what am I playing, what should I play at which section. So yeah.
No, I actually think that's a great way of doing it. It's just having a loop, and then you can and then know. For example, shit. I'm gonna put it back into a very nerdy aspect of this podcast, but Aeolian, going from the flat 6 to the major 6 there, hearing that sound. So if we're in E, for example, where we're going from C to C sharp and landing on C sharp and being like, that's that sound, versus E, or if we're trying to make it into, Phrygian and going to the flat 2. So it's like landing on those notes and actually knowing it and hearing it in a real setting.
That was a huge impact on when it came, for example, when I'm learning Witherfall songs. It's not like that I have tabs. That was the time when I started learning playing songs from just hearing. Just started with songs like from AC/DC, but getting those. This is special to hear what you're playing. Oh, when I hear a song, I immediately knew, okay, it wasn't that key, it's that key, and so from that point I could learn a song easily. And so those taught me in scales was a huge impact for that, for example. So I think when I would not have learned all that scale stuff, I would never be able to learn songs that fast from ears, from just hearing it. So yeah.
Well, Phrygian dominant, my friend, and you'll be just fine.
But now the
major and minor, pretty much. Like seriously, that's pretty much what you're gonna be fucking using like 98% of the time.
Yeah.
Very rare you're gonna be doing Phrygian stuff and Lydian. Unless you're changing to write a song.
But now I'm really happy that there are tab books of your songs, so it's not that difficult anymore to learn them.
Another huge shout out to Evan Bradley, who we had on 2 weeks ago. And he's awesome, man. He's a great dude for it. And just having to go there and go through and try to learn those. A lot of tab books are out there. I don't want to sit there and try to decipher the stuff. Anthony does that. I'll call Anthony up. He'll be like, "Hey man, what time's rehearsal?" I'll be like, 6 p.m. now, and he's like, "I'm learning. I'm practicing the song. I'm relearning the songs right now." 3 hours before rehearsal.
What do you mean before the fucking show? Sometimes.
Yeah, I mean,
are you relearning it?
You said what?
Jake, are you relearning it, or how are you doing that? Do you write down your stuff you're recording, or?
Oh, I'm nowhere near the musician that Anthony is, dude. I have to play that shit.
You write the music. You're good. You're fine. You're playing your own music.
No, I play through the hard parts at least. I still practice at least 4 hours a day, So it's like, but half of that time is I'm doing other shit that I want to do and get better at, and then it's an hour at least is all the Witherfall stuff. If I'm watching Bill Maher or something like that. Yeah, I'm playing through all the difficult passages just to have them under my fingers,
Yeah.
The whole goal is to, when you're on stage, is to be comfortable. Like the last thing you want to be is you want to be doing the show, and performing rather than thinking about like, holy fuck, how am I going to nail this part?
Yeah, you don't want to look like you're trying to play the music. That's the trick.
Yeah,
you want to look like you're trying. You know what I'm saying? That's the trick. It's like you almost want to look like you're more performing than playing.
You hope so.
I used to hear the part was called "You own that section."
Yeah. You want to own it.
You're confident. You got it. And
even if you get off, you want to be confident enough to get back on. Like,
Oh yeah. At that point,
just a note. You got to know where we're at, and you know what I'm saying. It's like it's muscle memory. Like once you get the muscle memory down,
well, it's okay because Joseph always said that if the show is going really bad, he just kill himself on stage, and then
it almost happened in Mexico.
Yeah, I was out to as well. That was going to be
I stopped the show and had a rant for like 5 minutes. I was fucking just going off on people.
So Henrik, you got Anthony Crawford here, man. With he's a bass legend, man. Any questions on Holdsworth? Anything with like learning bass? Any of that stuff? I keep on trying to ask Anthony all the time some questions, and he's just like, dude, it's cool.
Okay. What is a great training playing bass with fingers? Is there something like a workout, or is there something to practice to be there more good? Or
how do you practice now?
Dog
with a pick.
Stop playing with a pick. That's how you mean. Put the pick down and just start practicing with your fingers. It's the same thing. That's how.
Yeah.
There's no secret, like what do you call it? Like a secret formula. No, just start playing with your fingers. That's it. That's how you get better.
Yeah, I think it's more comfortable with a pick, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a pick player, of course, it's more comfortable. But like you've asked me, what should I practice? Just whatever you play with a pick, just don't use a pick. Just use your fingers. That's it. And it'll be comfortable. It'll get comfortable.
Did you ever play with a pick?
When I first started playing the bass, I played with a pick a little bit when I first started playing, but I just never it never, I never fell in love with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I felt comfortable playing more so with my fingers. So.
And when it comes to Witherfall songs, I think Jake and Joseph, you're both writing the stuff. Your bass parts, are they more influenced on Jake's guitar playing, or are you're doing what it feels right to play?
Yeah, I do mostly what it feels right. I just kind of use common sense on a lot of Witherfall music. So like if there's like a big section where like this epic guitar lines going on, I'll be like, okay, Jake, I just double it and just make it bigger. You know what I'm saying? As far as like the actual songs, I just go with the chord changes. I focus more on the groove, and then every now and then I hear certain things where I'm like, oh yeah, I can like add this or embellish that, or I hear Jake doing something that's really cool. I'm like, oh, let me embellish that. Let me make it bigger. You know what I'm saying? So. So
I would say also like during the choruses, we also try to have like Joseph do his melody line, and then you do a counterpoint to that as well.
Yeah,
That's also a
really do a lot of counterpoints too.
Yeah,
a lot of interaction. I noticed we do a lot, but we kind of had that. We had that thing going on when I first started working with Witherfall. When I first started working with Witherfall, it was it was one of those things where okay, they just wanted to see what I would do and how I would interpret the music.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing that came to me. Like when I started listening to their music, I was like, okay, I see where they're going. I understand, blah blah blah. And then I sent it to them, and then that's kind of been a formula ever since.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We tried to send Anthony one time charts, and he said he couldn't read. We saw him live. He's like, I was like, what are you doing? He's like, oh yeah, this is a reading gig. He's like, I'm just gonna do what I want to do. That was Nocturnes, yeah, Nocturnes. Yeah, actually, so what Anthony was just saying there too, with how he really is in the groove, he basically created the groove to Prelude to Sorrow because he recorded the bass before anything else was actually,
And there were no drums.
Which is so
he made the drums off when we were recording.
Yeah, and then that one song you guys sent me, I think it was "What Have We Done?" I think it is.
Yeah, this is embarrassing.
Like all beat or something like that. Like everything was kind of like it wasn't.
Oh yeah, Henrik. So the song you were talking about beforehand, "What We Were Dying For," before that actually came out, when we were doing like the actual, well, Anthony was tracking the bass to it. Our engineer had sent it, like an eighth note beforehand, so everything was like on the and,
Okay. Yeah.
And then Anthony recorded it, and he sent it, and we're like, what the fuck is this? Like, and he's like, well, this is the music to it. And we listened back to it, and we're like, and he's like, hey man, I worked hard on it. Just give me $100 and I'll record it the right way.
Nice.
Because dude, it was like
we're Prog, but not that.
Anthony recorded to that because it was so messed up. The drums were actually, they were still on the whole grid, but everything else was moved by like an eighth note off on there. So it's everything was almost coming on the end.
Yeah, but somehow it made sense to me though. For some kind of way, it made sense to me.
No, you nailed it, and it was just like, what the hell is that? I wish we still had that. Joseph probably has it somewhere.
I have it somewhere. You know what else I have? I have all the Prelude drum tracks before Gergo got there.
I don't want to hear those. I don't even want to talk about those.
Yeah.
So what do you have coming up, man? What can you you have a new song coming out that you were just talking about with Soil Work guy?
Yeah, this song I released it 2 weeks ago, I guess. And now at the moment I'm more like just waiting what's coming. I have a few songs in the back, and one will definitely come out this year. And I'm actually working on some acoustic cover songs, where I also sing. I also do singing stuff. Yeah, but that's more planned in the end of the year, I guess. There's one song I did with Odd Life Stansland from Communic. Don't know if you know them, that band.
Yeah. Communic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We worked on a song together, and I think it will come out this summer, but I don't know exactly when. And so now I'm just, don't know. I have maybe an instrumental track that I will release in a few months, but it's more like a gap filler.
What was your inspiration for the instrumental track? Were you kind of doing like the cacophony type stuff from?
It's something totally different. I don't know if you know Bernd from.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
From Austria, yeah. And it was his Waterworks song where he just did a acoustic tapping, 2-minute song. Or I think Waterworks, it's what it's called. I was influenced by that, and I did an acoustic tapping for close to 3 minutes, I guess. That's what the song is about. And I think it's something totally different, but I think it would be nice as a gap filler, or I don't know if I will release it or when or how. But yeah, for me, the most important thing was to end all my songs I released with the Björn Stritt song, and not to do an acoustic cover now and then release a Björn song, because from the mood, the songwriting mood, it would be totally, don't know if I would release an acoustic cover and then more like death metal song. I think that this would not work for the algorithm or something like that. So now I will see what happens.
Yeah.
But it's more like my plan for end of this year and maybe early next year is an acoustic EP, and yeah, then I will see what happens. Maybe doing an EP with Joseph. He sang on 2 songs already, so yeah, and I always like giving him songs from myself, so yeah, maybe it will work that we could do an EP with a few songs, 5-6 songs or something like that. And that's what I think about the future, the next 2 years, I guess. Yeah.
Do you have anyone else you're working with right now? Anything coming up? Like you just did the track with Loomis. Is there anything that you're coming up with soon?
The last song I did with Loomis was The Witness. I released the song last summer. I'm chatting with him from time to time, but he's more focused on his. He just left Arch Enemy. He's more focused on his solo record. I think it will come out this year, and he's doing with Wen Williams this Graham project, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
They are more focused on that, so I didn't ask him if he could do anything else. So yeah.
Did he announce that he's doing a solo record?
Yeah. I was at the solo show of him in Mannheim, 2022. And then he mentioned that he's working on a 3rd solo record, and he said something like that he has a contract with Century Media, that he has a deal with 3 records, and he has already released 2 of it, and so now it's time for a 3rd record, and he's planning it for, I guess, 2 years now, but because of Arch Enemy, of course, because they had a busy time schedule with touring or something like that, and studio stuff, their last release, and he didn't find the time. But now he will, I don't know if he has completed it, but he will release it this year. It's the latest thing I heard from him. So, yeah. Or he will release the first single this year from the record. I don't know if it will come out early 2024, 5. We already have 24. Help. Yeah. It's half of my head is still in 23, so yeah.
Well, hopefully there's no more pandemics.
Yeah.
Yeah. But are you already working on Witherfall number 5 or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hetero.
Great.
This record, Sounds of the Forgotten, it kind of like it kind of bubbled all together really quickly. So like a few things we were working on ended up not getting any attention. So we have some stuff that we need to finish up. And Jake's been sending me some new gold nuggets of drunken guitar chicanery. So I got to make some sense out of what's going on in there and fucking mine the songs. That's at least what I call it. I'm song mining.
Yeah.
So I hadn't been drinking, and then Jake sends me fucking guitar stuff that he's clearly inebriated when he's sending. So I have to, in the spirit of things, also drink so that I can get on the same wavelength.
Yeah, it's possible there.
It's the only way.
well, Henrik, I gotta sign off now, man. And Anthony, thanks for being on here, man.
All right. Thank you. Good to meet you, Henrik. Good meeting you, man. I'm gonna make sure I follow you as well, man. I don't think we follow each other.
I've got the link for your YouTube channel up. Anyone have any final questions for Henrik? Go ahead and ask them in the comments. Anthony, I want the dog rape video or whatever the fuck you've got going on.
I'll text it to the group chat.
Okay. Henrik, I'll forward it to you, man. Hopefully I don't get tagged by Interpol.
Hey, Jake, it's pretty funny though, ain't it, Jake?
Oh yeah, man, absolutely.
I don't even know what the hell you're talking about.
Henrik, everybody check out Henrik, man. He's a fucking awesome guitar player. He writes great fucking songs, man. He covers the Witherfall stuff, and for that, I fucking love him. So, any questions here before I take off? Any questions for Anthony Crawford, the man, the myth, the legend? Anybody for Joseph? If not, we're out.
All right. See you guys.
All right, guys. It was a pleasure.
All right.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.
Sometimes the world no longer needs a hero. Sometimes what it needs is a monster. Sometimes the world no longer needs a hero. Sometimes what it needs is a monster.